Okay. Sir, I've changed the right to presenter to your ID.
Okay.
Now you can share your PPT.
Yes, sure.
Shall I start, Vikas sir?
Yeah, you may start, and let me add my PPT over there. How to add the PPT?
There's a button, sir. You can add your PPT by sharing your content. There's a button, share your content. एक है.
Okay.
You can check at the top level.
Yeah.
Just behind your camera and video.
Parvez. Can you add my PPT?
Yes. Sir, your desktop आप शेयर कर लेंगे सर. अब ये आपकी स्क्रीन यहाँ दिख रही है. अब आप ओपन कर लीजिए PPT यहाँ.
Okay. Can you see my desktop?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. Good afternoon, you all.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah. And I'm Dr. Jayanand, and officiating Vice Chancellor. Basically, I'm the Registrar and the Director of Research Head. And now these days, I'm officiating the Vice Chancellor office. Today's presentation is on electromagnetic pollution and its effects. First of all, I would thank Mr. Vikas for calling me as a source person of this very good program in IILM, Waste Technology Engineering, Emerging Paradigm, and in Waste Management Technology. Okay, thank you, Mr. Vikas.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So today we will start. What is electromagnetism? Though the topic of today's session is quite different from the theme of FDP, but definitely if we talk about the waste, number of waste materials are there which is not visible and which affects our health also. That is also the kind of pollution. We call it electropollution or electromagnetopollution. So it comes from the electromagnetic field. Electromagnetic field, basically it consists of electric as well as magnetic field together. If electric field is there and moving electric field is there, then magnetic field will be generated. And if the magnetic field is there and if it is moving, then automatically electric field will be generated. So it will go side by side. And electromagnetic radiation are produced by both natural and man-made. Natural means the ultimate source of energy we call the sun. Sun is also providing us the electromagnetic energy. But the energy which is very much beneficial for us, and if it gives us some kind of ultraviolet light or something, if the umbrella of ozone layer will go off, then ultraviolet will come in, and we may have the negative consequences of that. So that is the natural. Or any other extraterrestrial energy like cosmic wave, though we have not seen any cosmic wave, but it has been realized and it has been felt by a number of people that cosmic waves are there. So these are the electromagnetic wave, and that is the natural. Some of the rest of the electromagnetic waves are man-made, and we use those electromagnetic waves for a number of appliances like power lines, electrical equipments, mobile, cordless, phones, radars, electrical household appliances, microwave ovens, radios, computers, electric clocks, number of things. In fact, as we advances in the technology, we advances in terms of electrical device, electromagnetic device. Definitely we are waving the electromagnetic mesh around us. So yeah, if we segregate all the electromagnetic field, then we can segregate in very two very significant groups. One is non-ionizing on the basis of energy, non-ionizing and non-ionizing. Non-ionizing, the waves, the electromagnetic wave which doesn't have sufficient amount of energy to ionize the material, that is the non-ionizing material, non-ionizing radiation. Ionizing radiation which can ionize the material. So basically we are scared of the ionizing radiation. That is why we have made number of regulations. Bhabha Atomic Research Institute is there, Bhabha Atomic Center is there to put on the advisory for ionizing radiation. We do not bother about the non-ionizing radiation, which is very much concerned these days. In non-ionizing radiation, we have extreme low frequency wave. We may start from the static even, then very low, then medium frequency, then high frequency, very high, ultra high frequency, and in fact more than super high frequency, which are coming in the range of non-ionizing radiation. And number of appliances, in fact all the gadgets, all the appliances which we are using, that comes in the non-ionizing radiation area. And what is in the ionizing, like gamma rays, X-rays, these are the ionizing radiation. So we do not handle those. Generally, if we are not the medical person, we are not using the or any industrial person, we do not use the X-ray by our own, or gamma rays or beta rays, alpha rays. That is for the therapeutics of cancer patients. So it creates the hypothermia and it kills the affected area of tissue, means it kills the cancer in radiotherapy. But for that, we have lot of regulations, but we do not have the regulation for non-ionizing radiations. Other countries, other developed countries and developing countries are making their regulations. Still, we are far behind. We have to. In fact, ICMR is working on this. Number of projects have been made. Number of research institutions are working to give the research output to the government so that they can make their optimized policy. So, if you see all the rays, ionizing and non-ionizing, you will find that cosmic rays, gamma rays, X-ray, even the ultraviolet, it comes in the ionizing radiation. And rest, the visible part, infrared, radar, FM, TV, shortwave, broadcast, power transmission, these all are non-ionizing field. So you can see the energy goes high in the left side and the energy goes low in the right side. And if you see the wavelength is less in the left side and the high in the kilometers in the right side. Frequency in the mega gigahertz in the right side, and even left side, and in the zero it goes in zero in the right side. So these are the electromagnetic field where we can see how the energy changes in electron volts from cosmic rays, which is some of the instruments are there to analyze cosmic rays even, and nuclear waves to the static waves, or even transmission lines. We have 50 hertz frequency. If we are sitting in the electric in the electric appliances that has around 50 hertz, that is very low frequency waves. Okay, so if we see what are the sources by which we can be exposed ourselves with electromagnetic field, electromagnetic radiations. So these are number of sources: TV transmitter, radio, power lines, microwave, refrigerator, electric oven, televisions, vacuum cleaner, radio tuner. These are just few. You cannot imagine, you are, in fact, we all are just surrounded with the networks of non-ionizing fields. So if you go by definition, ionizing and non-ionizing, ionizing is the electromagnetic radiation whose wave contains energy sufficient to overcome the binding energy. Means if it ionizes the material, definitely bond will be breakdown. So it is ultraviolet, X-ray, gamma rays, cosmic rays. Non-ionizing doesn't have the sufficient energy. Then why we are worrying if it is not ionizing the material? Then why we are worrying that non-ionizing is quite dangerous to health? So we will concentrate on the non-ionizing radiations because no regulation, still we do not have any regulation, except somewhere you can see in your mobile that it is written that a specific absorption rate, that is the doses of electric field, is written over there. So that's it. Whether the specific absorption rate is having any norms, or is India has made any regulation that we cannot go with any device which is having this much or beyond this SAR value. So we do not have any regulation for that. So we can segregate static, extreme low frequency, intermediate, and RF is the radio frequency. So sources are there, the same thing is there. All the natural videos, magnetic resonance, diagnostic equipments, electrolysis, welding devices, these all are static devices. We should not say static, basically all these are coming in very low, very, very low. means up to 50 hertz, because all the device which is coming, which is working on the current power supply, that is around of 50 hertz. And above that, that is the extreme low frequency, that is power lines. If we are increasing the frequency of any power line, then it can be transmitted far away. So for power transmission, we generate the high frequency of around 200 to 300 hertz. Home wiring, car electrical engines. So these are the extreme low frequency. Intermediate video screens frequencies are very intermediate frequencies, and other metal detectors, magnetic MRIs are working on intermediate frequency. Welding devices, some of the welding devices is coming in static, as well as some of the welding devices are coming in frequency. Depends on the which kind of material we are using for the welding. RF frequency, radio, as it is written, obvious that radio frequency means radio, television. It comes from the radio terminology. That is why we call it radio. RF frequency. R for the radio, F for the frequency. Radio, television, smartphone, tablets, microphone, radar system, radio transmission, means almost all the communication is coming in the category of RF. This RF frequency, like we are using our mobile phones. Mobile is of around 900 megahertz frequency. Even if we are if we receive any call, that is having different frequency. If we send the voice to another device, the frequency is different. It is little different, of around of 1 gigahertz source. Basically, this mobile is of 1 gigahertz source. Ionizing radiation, alpha, beta, gamma. Alpha is having less frequency, so it penetrates less. Beta more, gamma furthermore, so it can penetrate more as it is having higher energy. Now, so you can segregate these frequency: radio frequency, intermediate, extreme low frequency, and static frequency. Okay, now the frequency ranges: static magnetic field or static electric field of 30 to 50 hertz is used for the medical imaging device. Lot of medical diagnostic and therapeutic devices are there, where the imagery is very much important. Now these days, robots are doing the surgery, and unless and until you have proper imagery of affected site, you cannot go for the surgery. So these frequencies are very much important for the medical imaging. Extreme low frequency up to 300 hertz. High voltage overhead power cables, household supply. Intermediate, anti-theft devices or other devices, hot plates. These are coming in the intermediate fields. Radio frequency, as I said, 10 megahertz to 300 gigahertz. And as I said, that 1 gigahertz source is of our mobile. So it is coming in the RF frequency. There are a number of service provider of mobile, and they are using different frequency range. And in fact, area-wise, the frequencies are different. In India, we have GSM. Some of the countries are having CDMA. Some of the countries are having different frequency range. So if you see the frequency range of mobile, you will find megahertz in CDMA is there, GSM 900 is there, GSM 1800 is there. 3G is of around 2 giga frequency through 3 gigahertz. 2 giga to 3 gigahertz of 3G. 4G around of, it comes in the 4 gigahertz. Yeah. why our body is interacting with external electromagnetic field. Why we should bother about this? Why we cannot say that like other material, like table is there, chair is there, if nothing is happening in this, why it is interacting our own body? Why? If you see, our body is also a kind of electrical device. Why? We have number of ions, we have different kinds of electrolytes, we have different elements in ionic forms also. So if the ionic elements are moving, definitely electrical field will generate it, and if electric field is dynamic electric field is there, the magnetic field is there, field would be there. That is why every organ is having its own electrical property. Every tissue is having its own electrical behavior. That is because of that, to exploit those electrical property of different devices, we made different kind of imagery instruments. Like, suppose we take the example of MRI. MRI is magnetic resonance image. We just push the patient in the floating pole and inside of the very high magnetic field of around 2 Tesla or even more. Now these days 4 Tesla, 5 Tesla diagnostic machines are coming. And we fix up the RF frequency of, we call it Larmor frequency, to magnetize and demagnetize the element of the human body. Which element? That hydrogen ion, H plus ion. Why we have chosen the hydrogen ion for imaging? Because it is available everywhere. If you see, it is made up of 60 to 65 to 70%. The body is made up of water. So water availability is everywhere. That is why MRI is using the hydrogen ion. It magnetizes the hydrogen ion, demagnetizes the hydrogen ion. So wherever the water is more, it will catch the external magnetic field more, magnetize more, and it will relax more, it will release more magnetic field of whatever it has received, the body or organ has received. That is why the contrast of different organs are different. The organ which is having high amount of water will have different contrast. Like bone will be having different, because it is not having much water content, but soft tissues will be having more different contrast, because it will absorb more radiation, release more radiation. So blackish should be there, whitish should be there in the bone side. So in that way, we can even diagnose the cancer even. As we all know, cancer is nothing, just the proliferation, uncontrolled proliferation of the cells. Means if it is not going through the cell cycle, it is not making the material of appropriate material for the cell division. It is not going through the fashion of the cell cycle. So it is just dividing without making its doubling of its material. So but the cell size is different. A cell size is same. So that means what will be increasing? Not the cell material, not the cell content or cell sap or nucleic material. What will be increasing in the offspring cells? The water content will be increasing. That is why cancerous cells or tumor cells will have more amount of water. If a doctor wants to go for the surgery for the of the cancer patients, they can go even for the MRI, because even if the liver, a particular part of the liver is having the cancer, and it may give you different contrast of that part as compared to the rest part of the liver. So one can imagine that where the cancer material, cancer tissues are there, where the tumors are there. So I was talking about the EMF. In that way, in fact, the body organs, the human body organs are interacting. In fact, all the animal body organs, because all of them are, all the animals are having the similar kind of tissues, similar kind of body compositions, elemental compositions. So every individual will interact with the outer external magnetic field if the frequency is coming in the range of interaction. Okay, so let us start with the low frequency 0 to 30 kilohertz. So electric field or magnetic field, what will happen with the electric field if the electric field is coming in the body? Means if the efflux, we may not realize, we may not, suppose sometimes we go, we cross the road, and in on the pole, the high transmission line has gone. The air is totally electrified. Sometimes what happens if you go very near to the very high electrical tension and the air is not dry, it is having the moisture, then definitely it will have the high amount of charge, and the charge may give you the blisters and the wound in your body. And even if the air is dried, you will feel certain kind of different feeling, that you have some certain different feeling. Even your electrical device, your laptop, your mobile may work differently. It may interact with the external field and it may work differently. So electrical field will go inside. You may not see what has gone inside you, what they are doing with your biochemical pathway or physiological status. It may change the biochemical pathway, and if biochemical pathway, if anything goes wrong in the biochemistry, and it will reflect in the physiology, and it may consequence any pathology, in fact. Similarly, magnetic field. If magnetic field goes flux through the body, then it will create the eddy current, circulating currents, or we call it streaming potentials. So it is the scenario of 0 to 30 kilohertz, that is very low, extreme low frequency. Now we are talking about 30 kilohertz to 300 gigahertz. It is coming in the RF radio wave. So you can see what kind of, because wavelength is different, so interaction would be different, and it gives the heating effect to the body. It is the concern that RF frequency is affecting the body in thermal range. We may not feel the heat, but if we are continuously exposing ourselves in the RF area, RF field, we may have the feeling of heating. I may give you the example. If you just talk on phone for half an hour or more, you will feel that you are annoyed enough, you are not relaxed, your brain is aching, or the headache is there. It is not because of just you have talked with someone. If you talk in a pleasant way, even then your brain will receive the radio frequency, and it will hit up the tissue adjacent to your ear. And this, as you people are the biotechnologists. You might be knowing that if you put up the energy, definitely it will hydrolyze the material. It will break down the bond. The bond breakage may happen in any molecule, even on DNA even. So if DNA breaks up, so it may be a single-stranded DNA break or double-stranded DNA break. It may be possible that again re-annealing process would be there, restructuring would be there, repairment will be there, but it may be possible if any mismatch would be there, then mutation may occur. Now it is optical range, and more than that means frequency goes beyond that, means more than ultraviolet towards the X-ray and gamma ray and the nuclear field and the cosmic field. So heating through the photochemical reactions would be there. This is the real picture nearby the South Delhi. We have to be careful about it, that the service provider of mobile are installing the towers on even the residential buildings, and in an individual tower, not only one antenna, number of antennas are there. Sometimes they collaboratively work. They put on the tower, Airtel and other service provider, Idea and other service providers, they are putting their own antenna over there. So multiple antenna means multiple transmissions of electrical, means it will receive and transmit the RF frequencies from the devices to the satellites to the devices. So the nearby area people will be continuously exposing themselves unknowingly by this hazardous RF field. Even you can see transmission lines. Number of reports are there in research articles. It shows that the slum area nearby to the high tension line, the kids of the slum areas are having leukemia, blood cancer, and no reason, just the reason is the high tension line. It is not because of their living status, the feeding habit. It is because of the transmission line. Everything is perfect, no problem. It is not much hazardous, which if they are having less food or different kind of food, it is not that much hazardous, which is with the high transmission line. So you can see up to transmission line to 5 meters, the cancerous incidence will be increased. Up to 500 meters, the abnormal EEG. I was talking our own body is totally electrical device. If you see every organ having its own electrical, like heart is having different electrical property. That is why we may have the ECG. Brain is having different electrical behavior. That is why we know EEG, electroencephalogram. Muscles are having different electrical property. That is why we are having EMG. So every organ, you take any organ, it is having its own electrical behavior. So if your EEG is disturbed, that means definitely you first the physiological symptom would be disturbed. You will be annoyed. You will not you will have the different kind of habit, criminal habit will be increased because of the non-peace of mind. Calcium flow will be decreased. That may create the ionic imbalance in the cell. Similarly, other things will be appearing. Biothermia will be appearing. Altered reaction will be there. I mean, biochemical pathway will be disturbed. Stunted growth means the growth will not be appropriate because of this transmission line. And these are been researched. The facts are there since I feel that people are working in this area since 50 years. You can see this is the thermal image where the people where the person is using a mobile, and you can see the focus of RF. So the area where the RF frequency is concentrating may have the damage, may have the breakage in the bonds of molecules. It may be macromolecules, it may be genetic material, DNA, it may be another material, anything. Similarly, if the person is residing nearby to the tower, he will be having the same. Look, the kid is sleeping and he might be not knowing, even the parents might be not knowing how much electrical magnetic field is interacting with the body of the kid. We have different devices in our sleeping room. All of them are active. We are keeping all time active. And we are continuously exposing ourselves with all the devices. Unknowingly, we are continuously exposing ourselves. So these are the killer waves. EMFs are the killer waves. It may be from the Wi-Fi, it may be from the telecommunication, mobiles, Wi-Fi, other transmitting devices, towers, satellites, and other radar communications and all. So these are the killer waves. Then why it is not being taken up by the government? If it is so much serious thing, why we are least bothered? Because we have repair mechanism. If something goes wrong with our body is having property to regain the homeostatic condition, whether the in terms of molecules, in terms of ions, in terms of anything. But if we are continuously exposing after certain threshold limit, we may not repair 100%. Definitely then after, the ailments, the disease will appear. So what sensitivity? Suppose we are mature person, how much we have sensitivity towards the exposure. So you can see here level of exposure, kids are very much sensitive. As you grow up, the sensitivity level is increasing. So you can tolerate the level of exposure more and more. That is why it is advised. In fact, in Britain, there is a rule that up to this class, the kids cannot have the mobile phone. They made their regulation, they made their policy. In school, and in India, we feel proud to give the mobile to the kids, to communicate with the kids, to know whether he or she is in appropriate condition or not. but definitely we are giving the killing material to our own kids. Now, I'm just concentrating on the cell phone because this is very much in our very daily to daily use. Cell phone and health hazards. So what kind of health hazards we may have? Headache, definitely. Impaired immune system. Immune system will also be reduced. Because definitely it will damage the biochemical pathway and definitely it will impair the immune system. Tumors, as I said, if DNA damage is there, definitely sometime it may not regain back, repair back. If any damage is persistent in the DNA, definitely it may make the tumor or cancer. Break in blood-brain barrier, as we said that calcium or ion influx outflux would be there. If ionic imbalance should be there, and suppose it happens in the blood-brain barrier tissues cells, it is very thin layer where the blood and brain is having the barrier. The blood cells cannot go inside the brain tissue. Only the nutrient material may go there, and the oxygen oxygen supply may go there. So if it breaks down, definitely we may have the infarctions in the blood clot in the brain. Reduced melatonin, it is very much proven by number of scientists, workers. Genetic damage by Henry Lai did the work. In fact, when I was in All India Institute, Henry and Lai both came and they gave the demonstration that, look, we are exposing the cell line and then after we may have the damage in DNA and which can be assessed by single cell electrophoresis. That was Comet assay. Definitely it will interfere with the pacemakers because pacemaker is also working in the electrical information of the heart muscles, Purkinje fibers and all. So they give the signal. As a node is there that comes from the information comes from there, and ultimately the pacemaker blasts the electrical pulse and ventricular contraction would happen. So if pacemaker is disturbed because of interference of the external exposure, so definitely the beating, the pumping of blood will be disturbed. And if the pumping of blood is disturbed in our body, that definitely we will be in the trouble. Similarly, this pigment, melanoma of eye will be different. Pressure on tingling in the heads, definitely we will feel the tingling pressure. Memory loss, brain tumor, DNA alteration or damage, changed brain electrical activity, cardiovascular stress, eye problems, and fatigueness. These are the consequences of continuous exposure of electromagnetic field in RF range. Okay. Factors influencing the effect of EMF on human health. It is not necessary that if we both are exposed with the similar kind of exposure of RF field or electromagnetic field, we will have the same effect. It is not there. It may depend on ambient temperature, air velocity, humidity, body insulation, even our own fat content, age, gender, activity level, muscles content, bone mineral density. I would say that somewhere today we are discussing about the negative side of the electromagnetic field, and my research is on, we have shown that by electromagnetic field, certain amount of electromagnetic field, we have increased the bone density. And as we know that bone is also a piezoelectric material, and if you give certain electrical impulse, it will generate the pressure, because the piezo means pressure. If you put the electricity, it will generate the pressure, or vice versa. If you put the pressure, it will generate the electricity. So once the person is very much old and cannot go for the walking or the running, you can put on some kind of electrical pulse to generate the same mechanical stress in the bone. So that is the positive aspect. Similarly, everything is having some positive thing as well as negative thing. If you are doing anything in controlled way with specified characteristics of the electrical field or magnetic field, definitely it will help you out. But what is happening, we are not knowing. I am in front of laptop. Laptop might be sending the number of waves, electrical waves. Photonic waves are coming in front on me through the display. So definitely, if we are continuously working on this, we will have different situation. We may have some kind of physiological symptom. So debilation and other disease, and all these factors have been studied in a comprehensive manner. Though I would not give you the conclusion that this is the, no one can, in fact, because every individual is having its own immunity, its own repair capacity. So we cannot generalize that only this regulation will work. Somebody may have more sensitivity, may not have that much capacity to hold the or repair the damage. Okay. Electromagnetic radiation, we may have thermal and non-thermal or athermal effect. Thermal means like if you see this in this picture, before using mobile phone and just for 15 minutes, you can see this is the research data. After 15 minutes, you can see the thermal imaging or nearby the receptive area, means ear place. So you will find the accumulation of RF field, RF energy is more in this. So if even 15 minutes can induce this much, can store. In fact, by using certain device, we made some kind of phantom material of skull, brain tissue, and we have seen that how much energy has been absorbed by the brain tissue. So this is the thermal effect. You can see the damages, the effect of microwave radiation. In fact, our microwave is also coming in the same range. Heated, the polar molecules induced by electromagnetic field. In the case of person using cell phone, most of the heating will occur at the surface of head. Means surface means nearby the ear place. That is why the hearing impairment is more in the case of chronic user of mobile. And you can see the brain's blood circulation is capable of disposing the excess heat. Yeah, very true. That is the repair mechanism. Even if you accumulate the heat at any part, the brain, in fact, not with the electromagnetic field exposure, by any means, if you are injured, inflammation is there, definitely the blood will try to repair the things. So if you see the CNS, and because of this mobile, EEG is altered. If your EEG are altered, the behavior or cognitive function will be definitely altered. Melatonin secretion is altered. Heart rate, ECG is also disturbed. If the ECG is disturbed, blood pressure would be disturbed. You will feel fatigue, burning near ear, headache, numbness, tingling, and less concentration. And we have the habit to put on the mobile on the front pocket. So it has been worked by a number of workers, and one of them are R.S. Sharma in ICMR, as well as Professor Bihari in JNU and DRDO people. And they have shown the sperm motility is gone down. Viability of sperm gone down. Morphology is very much important for fertility. It's also gone down. So these all have changed. These all have impaired because of the exposure, prolonged exposure of the tissue. Mobile and electromagnetic radiation. These are, if we talk about the radio frequency, it is, the frequency is of 3 kilohertz to 30,000 kilohertz, 30,000 hertz to, sorry, 30 kilohertz to 300 gigahertz. 300 gigahertz means 300 billion hertz. So you can see how much frequency is there. If frequency is quite high, definitely the energy intensity would be more. So dose of absorbed energy is estimated using measure called this is the specific absorption rate, and in an experiment, in fact, the workers have made the phantom material of human head and evaluated the specific absorption rate. This is the phantom material, and a standard anthropomorphic model is there, where the probe, they have put on the probe and seen how much energy has been received by a particular tissue. So the cell is receiving also the radiation. That if cell is receiving, definitely all the cell materials are also receiving the radiations. So it may damage any molecules. It may create reactive oxygens. And reactive oxygens also, it may be possible that radiation may damage directly to the DNA, or it may be because of the reactive oxygens, ROS. So they may also do the DNA damage. So it may be the direct damage, or it may be indirect damage. Or in both the cases, it may be single standard, it may be double standard. If the double standard is there, repair is little better. if single-stranded DNA is damaged, so it will be the chance that it may not be repaired in the right appropriately. So 75% of the radiation causes the DNA damage due to the hydroxyl free radical. So you can see indirect damage. The direct damage, it hit the DNA strand and it breaks the bonds. Ultimately, the illness having the potential link with the RF radiation. It may Alzheimer's, it may hearing impairment. These all are genotoxic effect is there. As I said that if DNA is damaged, that means it is genotoxic. Infertility, I have shown you, cancer is there. So now we will talk about the effects. Means it may be bio effect, it may be health effect. Bio effect means it is affecting the biological process, but sometimes it will not appear in the health, or we can measure the responses, or the body will repair the damage. So it may be thermal and non-thermal effects. Health effects are changes which may be for the short term or long term. These effects stress the system may be harmful to the human health. That means symptomatic means if any damage is there, the symptoms will be appearing. If the symptom is appearing, that means whole, right from the chemical composition, chemical pathway, physiological reflection, and the symptom are disturbed. So I have told you that permeability because of the ion influx and outflux, especially the calcium ion. Membrane potential will be disturbed, and nervous signal transduction would be disturbed. That is why, in fact, we had a meeting with DRDO people, and DRDO people were saying two things, that the army people, those who are working with radar system, as well as other communication devices, they are facing infertility as well as the neuronal damage. So in fact, DRDO has set up a lab for that, very good lab, where they are working with a number of scientists. All of them are working that why, because of the radar frequency, they have been infected. They have been facing a lot of problems. So now they are working on, can we change the frequency of radar system? Can we change the device which can use different frequency which may not interact directly to the human body? So the cancer, most laboratory studies were unable to find direct link between the RF frequency and the mutation of the cancer. It is not established, but the reasons are there. In vitro cases, DNA chromosomal damage have been seen. We have seen, as I said, Henry and Lai, both of them. Henry Lai as well as, Henry Lai and Singh. Singh and Henry Lai. Singh is the Indian scientist working in US. He was earlier in King George Medical College. So they have shown us, look, DNA damage is there, comet SA is there, and the comet length is quite high. And that shows the fragments are more. Means this radiation creates very small fragments of the DNA. That is why it moves very fast. Several in vivo studies, it shows that especially in rodents, and rodents, it may be mice, it may be Wistar rat. So direct effect is there. Childhood leukemia, as I said you, that the kids, those who are residing nearby the area of tower or high tension line, they are facing the leukemia. It is also proven. Swiss agency have given the data after this number of research that 5-year-old people are getting more damage because of the mobile phone, 10 years as compared to 10 years and the more. So they have shown that meta-analysis reported the increased risk for childhood brain tumor. In fact, Danish scientists also did number of works, and they have studied on, in one work, 13,000 children, and they have concluded that exposure to cell phone prenatally and to a lesser degree postnatally was associated with more behavioral difficulties. Means even in the gestation phase, the kids may get the damage because of the external exposure. Effects on nervous system, blood-brain barrier, I said, brain electrical activity, sorry, EEG disturbed. Neurotransmitters have maybe disturbed. That is why sometimes neuro blockage may happen, neuro damage may happen, melatonin secretions may disturb, retina color may also change. Behavioral, definitely, if the EEG is changing, then behavioral change would be there, cognitive behavior. And that is why you can see, we all are the teachers. If you see the call for projects from ICMR, you will find around 30% of projects are concentrating on the cognitive research. Why the people are getting cognitive behavior means they are getting disturbed or diseased cognitive behavior. That means somewhere their living habits are different, and these are the consequences of the living habit. So neurochemical, neurological effects in the human and animal, acoustic neuroma, brain tumor, tumor of salivary gland, these all are evidented. Means these are listed on the basis of the works the people have done. Impairment to short-term memory, headaches, sleep disturbance, depression and tiredness, disease, agitation in combination with nervous exhaustion. These all are listed disease or physiological disturbance. Unstable gait. You can see unstable gait means sometimes you may have disturbed coordination in your walk. Now you can think joints are also disturbed because of the external exposure. So definitely the brain, if the brain is disturbed, the coordination of locomotion will come from the direction of the brain, and if the brain CNS is disturbed, definitely the coordination would be disturbed. Increased sensitivity of external factors such as noise, bright light, noise and bright light, inability to concentration. Obviously, you cannot concentrate if you are in, if you go to the village where very less amount of devices, electromagnetic devices, or possibility of the exposure is there. Though now these days, there is no place where you cannot find the network of electromagnetic field. But even then, if you go somewhere where the signal is not there, towers are not there, you will feel little calm, cool, because your brain is feeling that I'm not stressed. And if your brain is not stressed, you will feel very relaxed. So, so these are all the problems, breathing problems even. Just recently, some of the papers came where the breathing cycle is disturbed because of the exposure of kids. The breathing cycle means they are erroneous breathing cycle, means they are having very high frequent breathing. So if someone is having very high frequent breathing, means there is less possibility to absorb the oxygen in the lung. If less oxygen absorption is there in the lung, the hypoxic condition would be there. So always dizziness would be there, annoyance would be there. And irregular menstrual cycle. Menses have been disturbed because of the exposure. Mood swings are there. Effect on immune system. Adverse effect on immune system in indirectly predisposed to infection and cancer. Individual variation in response to RF. So these are there, which says that immunity may also go down because of the exposure. So we need to categorize. So what kind of exposure may damage what kind of organ? If immunity is damaged, can 1 gigahertz source like mobile may disturb the immunity or not? Or tower lines or transmission lines or any other exposures? So that has to be categorized. Reduction in male infertility. Somebody has shown a very, it is not the new work, very established work. So 30 minutes of exposure may reduce the male fertility. Rectal temperature is being increased. Low sperm count in military personnel. Earlier it was in different places with the different workers. Now DRDO people are facing the challenges. Cluster of 6 cases of testicular means. This is also one work where it is shown that cancer among the traffic policemen. Excess risk of testicular cancer. 30% decrease in sperm count, not only because of the morphology changes, because of the DNA damage, even count shows that somewhere happen in the interstitial cells where, or we can say the stem cells where the sperm being generated. So this is the another work where in Hungary people have done and shown that 30% drop in sperm count. EMF exposure limits and the safety margins. As I said, that if we are talking about the whole body, there is a regulation that any device should work. Any electromagnetic device should not have more exposure than 4 watt per kg. But there are number of results where even with even less amount of exposure, less amount of SAR, I should say SAR, that is the absorbed energy with the tissue, means the energy per kg which can increase 1 degree temperature. We say specific heat, that is increasing 1 degree of temperature, that is the specific heat. So similarly, here that is the SAR, specific absorption rate, means 4 watt per kg. If any tissue is in receiving in 1 kg, the temperature will be increased by 1 degree. So we can tolerate, as per the study, as per the regulation of someone, some other country, and in fact, what device we are using, the same regulation being followed, and they are considering that 1 degree temperature increase in tissue will not make any significant damage. So this is the work been done in our lab. Though I was not involved in this, my work was different, but some of my lab mates did the work. Here you can see 900 megahertz mobile phone radiation on Vista rat, and they have shown the apoptosis, cell count, antioxidant changes, means SOD, GPX, catalyst, all the enzymatic activity have been changed. Total sperm count have been reduced. Difference between body weight, means they have exposed the parent Vista rats, male and female, and their litter or their offsprings were having less body weight. And in the fourth quadrant, you can see the DNA comet assay, and it is available in mutation research publication. So you can see the SAM exposure. No DNA damage is there. This is the single cell electrophoresis on slide only. And you see the gamma radiation which we use for cancer treatment, hyperthermia. The comet assay, you can see the tail length, and in the down you can see RF frequency 18, which is of around 2G and 3G signal. SAR is 1.3. I said this is far less SAR as compared to the regulatory body has made the threshold 4 watt per kg. It is far less than that for 24 hours, not beyond that even. And you can see the DNA damage. It is comparable to the nuclear radiation. So we are fear of the atomic bomb. We face every day with the atom bomb. This is the effect of early pregnancy. I said you in the last slide even. Electromagnetic field exposure in the embryo growth, fetal growth. Fetal growth may be disturbed. This is why I have made this slide, because I thought that we should be aware of if anyone is pregnant or any of our kin is pregnant, we need to keep them, because once birth comes, with any damage, we cannot repair afterwards. So why not to prevent? So these are the, we all are having, we need to ensure that no high tension line should go the person who is pregnant. And number of studies have shown that embryo growth ceased significantly if they have been exposed by or failed. By multiple factor analysis, only watching TV and using mobile phone during the first term pregnancy were associated with risk of embryo growth of ceasing. That is why it is highlighted. Watching TV and using mobile telephone during the first term pregnancy may increase the risk of embryo growth. Suggestion: pregnant women should not use appliances for the long time. Do the safety precautions. If you are sleeping, keep your every appliances far away from your place where you are sleeping. One of my known, Dr. Ashok Agarwal, is working in Cleveland Clinic Foundation in US, and they have shown, in fact his team have shown, one normal man is having this much sperm count. After cell phone using this much sperm count, 2 to 4 hours per day, this much count, and with different periodical uses, he has showed different count of sperm. In fact, WHO's directions are there. It has given number of instructions. There are instances where public have attributed diffuse collection of symptoms: headache, anxiety, suicide, depression, nausea, fatigue, loss of libido, to low level exposure of electromagnetic field. That is the observation. To date, scientific evidence does not support a link between, I repeatedly say, somewhere we need to understand, even after getting lot of results across the world, number of scientists have reported that this is hazardous, this is damaging the health. Though quickly we will not feel any disease or ailment, but slightly it is kind of slow poison, it may damage our health. And it is evident in number of research. Even then, the regulations are not coming. Why the government of any country, I'm not saying about our own only, are not confident enough to put up the guidelines, the SOP for exposure. So there must be some biased approach towards the industry people, those who are making the devices. It may be possible. That is why even after getting good results from different areas of scientists, we are not making the regulation. We are not having the guts to say no to these equipments as it makes the country profitable. Okay. So these are the health effects of exposure of radio frequency. I have given you a lot of slides on this. These are the WHO observations. Radio frequency and cancer, it is established that the radio frequency may induce the cancer. I can say that, okay, it cannot generate the cancer. As we all know that cancer tendency, we all are having the cancer induction tendency. Just we need to provide the appropriate signaling. So radio frequency may trigger to induce the cancer. Now we are going to accept 5G. We are coming in the 5G era. So I do not know what will happen. So what kind of electropollution, electromagnetopollution would be there? Still there is no regulation from any government. Conclusion. Although the present scientific data fails to clinch, I'm also giving the conclusion in the sync of government. The final link between EMF and disease pattern to be established. It is our duty, being the scientists, being the teachers, being the academician, that we need to take up the challenge. We need to do the work so that we can establish and we can give the sufficient amount of information to the government. Yes, it is having the link. Please make the appropriate regulation so that the industry people may give us the suitable or non-hazardous, non-cancerous equipments. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much, sir. It was indeed a very beautiful presentation, and sir has given a glimpse of all the things in a very beautiful manner. Sir, I am very sorry and I forget to introduce you in the start of session. So I am doing this right now. Professor Dr. Jayanand received his PG, MPhil and PhD from Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi, and working as officiating Hon'ble Vice Chancellor and Registrar at Noida International University. He has been Registrar and Dean at Shobit University, Meerut. He did his postdoctoral research at Department of Physiology, AIIMS, New Delhi. He has 15 years of teaching and 10 years of research experience in different areas like biophysics, biomaterials, bioelectromagnetics, bioinstrumentation, electromagnetotherapy, spinal cord injury, and osteoporosis. He has published more than 55 research papers, which include national and international peer-reviewed journals, 8 books, and 10 book chapters. He has supervised 10 PhD, 22 MTech, and 6 MPhil scholars. He has been awarded with research fellowship and grants from CSIR, ICMR, DST, and MSME, and received Best Teacher Award from Delhi government. Thank you, sir. Now, you may ask questions. I have 2 questions in the chat box.
Yes,
on behalf of participant. Sir, working with laptop or computer is okay for pregnant women or not?
obviously it is okay. We cannot avoid the laptop, but certainly we have to have some kind of habit. Look, the body is having certain geometry, and laptop, suppose we are leaning on the laptop, sleeping with the laptop, definitely all the exposure will come out. Okay, we will be exposing directly with the laptops. So proper distance, and if possible, so there is a material, it is called electromagnetic field shield. Okay, the material is coming, you can put on the laptop, that is the silica kind of material. Okay, so the exposure will not come. even now these days, people are making some kind of cover for the mobile with that material to minimize the exposure outside.
Thank you, sir. Sir, there is another question.
Yeah, please.
Can we correlate the amount of damage caused by RF to the developmental stage of the tissue, meaning actively growing tissue are affected more by RF?
Definitely, mature tissues will not be damaged enough as the nascent tissues, nascent cells. But definitely, we cannot quantify. We cannot quantify that individual person may have this much damage with this much doses. Individual tissues will have different behavior with different kind of interaction. So we need to work on this. That is why we have to, being the researcher, we have to do some more work so that we can provide sufficient amount of data to the policymakers.
If any participant has any question? I think nobody has any question.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. This is a very enlightened session, and you have give your talk, your thoughts in a very presentable manner, and the examples which you have given are very understandable, and sir, it is a very beautiful presentation.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Up to you, Vikas.
I wanted to ask one small question to you, sir.
Yeah, please, Vikas.
Having seen such radio frequencies in and around to ourselves and in our societies, that we are bound to have these kind of frequencies.
Definitely.
So is there any management program or something else like that which can prevent us from those exposure directly or indirectly?
Yeah, very true. Now the biomaterial scientists and the material scientists are making the materials, and in fact architects are suggesting the materials which can reflect the signals. Those who are coming to your house, it will not come inside the house. Unavoidable means you can avoid the undesirable frequencies which is not desired by you. Some of the frequencies like mobile phone, that is very much required for you, so you have to allow the frequency to come inside your home. But definitely like power lines, transmission lines, radar lines, all the other frequencies, those frequencies are not related to your homework or the daily to daily life, so you can cut off. So people are working, but still the material is not in the market for the purchase. Only the mobile cover has come because people have worked a lot that is, fertility is going down because of the exposure of mobile, and mobile is very high frequency device, 1 gigahertz source.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Vikas. May I put off?
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Stay happy.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Good luck.
Okay, so for the next session, participants should join by 2 o'clock. Right, sir?
Yeah.
And I hope everyone has filled the attendance and feedback link for this session. Those who have not filled, please do it quickly and join back at 2 o'clock.
Any participant is having a query regarding the session or attendance or anything else? Any participant willing to ask any question regarding attendance and feedback, they may put their queries there right now. I have seen on the group that few people were saying that attendance links will be posted on the WhatsApp group, but it has been made available into this chat box just because to make sure that you are attending the session. That is first of all very important for us. In case still there is a problem, we may make that available into the group as well. But right now we are posting it into the chat box.
Sir, keep checking the chat box only because we want to check that how many of them are there.
Hello, sir.
The session will resume at 2 p.m. again for the session third, technical session third of this FDP with Dr. Ashok Kumar. Thank you.